Well, hello everyone. So for today I will be reviewing the Transformers Earthrise Voyager class Quintesson Judge. So before we look at the Judge, we'll look at the box. It says right here Quintesson Judge, and a nice beautiful artwork. It's got a nicely drawn picture of the Quintesson Judge. On the back it shows you the spinning face gimmick, his alternate mode, and his robot mode. Alright, and the nice Earthrise artwork, and that is it for the box. So let me move that over there. Alright, so going to the Quintesson Judge. He is a really nicely detailed figure. Now, out of the box, the face of Doubt and the face of Rage are on separately. And they just slide and clip on. If I can do it, I'll show you how that works. But the Quintesson Judge has 5 faces, and he has these not bendy wires, he has these tentacles, and they can bend up and down at this joint. And they are bendy, so if you hold them in one place for a certain amount of time, then they'll stay in that position, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Alright, so he has the face of Death, and he has a articulating jaw, and these are really nicely detailed faces. And then you have the face of Bitterness, and he has a opening mouth. The face of Rage has opening mouth. Face of Doubt has no opening mouth. And then the face of Laughter, which has no opening mouth. And if you don't want to manually spin them around, what you do is you go to the back. In the front, where the face of Death goes, there are these 2 slots, and if you look directly on the back, you got a lever and a switch. So if you hold them, and you can squeeze that lever, you get the awesome face spinning gimmick, and I think that is so cool. Now, as you know in the cartoon, they had beams of energy that they stood on. They didn't just sit down like this. So that's where this comes in. Now, they didn't paint it or mold it in yellow, which is really weird because in the cartoon they were floating on yellow beams of energy, so I can't really figure out as to why they would make it clear. I mean, if you saw it even on the box art, it showed this in yellow. But what you do is you have a slot right here, and this piece right here that's sticking out wants to face against the lever. So just put it in like that, and it will clip in really nicely. And to release it, you push down this lever and it comes right out. Alright. So next, now he can stand. Let me get it rotated. And fold down all of his tentacles. Next, he comes with his throne. And he comes with a blaster from that one episode that he used. Now, on the throne, if you want him to sit on it, you may have to take an X-Acto knife or a file and shave down this this post, because it's long enough to where that this doesn't want to sit flush. So, after I shave that down, if you look here, there is a peg hole here and here, and you can take those, and you can have the Judge sit down. And you may want to put a little bit of super glue around it, just to tighten it up. Take the post, put a bit of super glue around it, that should tighten it up, and then the Judge won't have any problem sitting on his chair. So there's that. It's really nice. I really like his throne. It looks very nicely detailed. So if we take this off, because that serves a later purpose, you have this gun. It's just a generic blaster. Has little holes, and on all the tentacles it has these 2 ports. They're used for one certain thing. So this port is used for something, and then this one is used for the gun. So let me find which one it is I'm supposed to use here. Alright, this one. So if you look, it's the second one. So use the second one, and plug this into the gun. Actually, let me look here. Yeah, plug it into the gun. Oh, and let me check really quick. Are all the tentacles blast effect capable? Yes, they are. You can put blast effects on the tentacles. Okay. Alright, so that will go into this hole. And you can have him waving around like a madman. Or, right here on both sides, there are these holes. Right here. And you can take that, and you take this peg, and you bring it in, and you slot that in there. And now you can have him pointing it forward. And I think that looks really cool. Now he's just not just waving it around, and he's actually aiming it. So I think that's pretty neat. And you can do that with all the tentacles, because all of them have the exact same ports. So this one can go in here, that one can go in here, and this one can go in here. And same thing on the other side. So all the tentacles can be wrapped around him, hold the gun. And it says for storage, there are two ways of storing the gun. It says in the instructions to take it and put it under the chair. Or what I like to do is, this is for transformation, you can pull this out, and here's his head, and you can pull this open, and it's a jail cell. And it's got a hole in it, and you can take the gun, and if you face it down, you can plug it in. You can close that back up, and then you can just stick that back in his head. Now, the face of death, wisdom, face of death, bitterness, wrath, doubt, and laughter. Now, what you want to do, and make sure that the cage doesn't fall out of his head, because the cage likes to not stay in solidly. So, to make sure it doesn't fall out like that, you want to make sure that this piece where the hinge is goes right behind this face. And it's, for some reason, it's very tight, so it's not going to come out. But if you put it behind any other face, it'll just flop out. So I don't know if that was intentional or what. It wants to stay behind the face of death. The face of death and wisdom work, but as for bitterness, it doesn't really want to. So what I do is I always turn around and put it behind the face of doubt. So there you go. Now the face of death has opening mouth. Bitterness and wrath have all opening mouths, so I think that's neat. And here's one more detailed look at them before I transform them. And I just love the spinning gimmick. Alright, so now to transform him, what you want to do is to remove the base. You want to take this off. Take this out, leave that there for now. And then you want to make sure that you bring the face of death all the way around to the front, because in every single place there is a slot that has one slot. It's one slot. But the face of death goes in the front where it has two slots. So you want to make sure you bring the face of death all the way around. Then you want to unclip all the faces and bring them up. As you can see right here, the face of death has two slots where all the rest of the faces only have one. Alright, so you want to bring this down, and then they will go in and connect, and then you do the same with all the rest. Bring all of them down. Then you bring up the tentacles, and you sit that down, and we're not done yet. Alright, so now you take the top of his head, and then the reason it has two holes is so it can correspond to these two pegs, and it doesn't matter which way you line it up, they'll both fit in the same way. Get those lined up, push it in, and then it just says in the instructions to simply just sit it there. But what I like to do is to make sure it stays still is open the face of bitterness's mouth, and then hook it underneath the closed mouths of wrath and death. and it wants to sit flush and straight for some reason. I'm not sure if that was what it was meant for, how they designed it. I don't know. It just works. Alright. So now, the throne, you want to open it up and fold that down. And then, you probably don't want this in your prisoner's cell so they can shoot out. Alright, you take that, and you take these holes, and you can plug them onto either one of these. And it uses Earthrise connectors, so you want to connect this to the throne. And just straighten this up. And there's really nowhere to put the gun unless you want it inside on one of the tentacles. Just waving it around. But here is the prison cell mode. I'm guessing that's what it is. It doesn't really say what it is in the packaging, but it still looks really cool. Now, any Micromaster should work. So you just open it up, take a Micromaster, and put him in there. And then he can wait for his judgment, but he'll die anyway, because whether you're guilty or innocent, you're going to be thrown to the pit with the Sharkticons. And I think that is so awesome how that looks. And there's even a little opening up here. So, now there is a second way to use this. So if you pull this out, you can come underneath here, and there's no reason for these two pegs to be here, and these two holes. And there are these two posts, and they can go up inside here. And if you do that, it'll stick on the bottom, and you can do it kind of like that. It's not in the instructions, but there's no other reason for those two holes to be there at the bottom. So you can kind of do it like that if you want. But personally, I like to have it the other way around. So let me get that off. That is a good way to bend the tentacles out, so that way they won't be sticking up. But putting that on the bottom is a good way to bend them, so that way they don't move all over the place. Alright, so let me put this back. And so there you go. So I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you for watching, and please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you the next time with this guy. Goodbye.